Hello, I'm August. This is my room, and this is my body, and this is my face, and my hair, and a little piece of rosemary that I have tucked behind my ear. These are some clothes that I just got from a thrift store, and I think the shirt is from Target. And this is a different kind of video that I make, usually, but I have an idea for something. So I'm gonna finish setting up some camera gear stuff. I might switch to the back camera on my phone, but I'm very taken with how good the front camera actually looks right now. I got a whiteboard, which I've been needing because I have mostly knowledge, but some wisdom to share. And I think I'm finally ready to share it in a way that feels quite right. This is Reconnecting Everything, episode 1. The video series, not the album, which you should check out. Be right back. Well, I didn't move the camera, but I did add a microphone, so the sound should be better. What does reconnecting everything even mean? I'll tell you. We're complicated creatures. We, individually, humans, I'm assuming, watching this video, you and me, but also humans, the group organism, humans total, are complicated creatures. We are a complicated creature. And also life forms in general, mammals. Mammals are obviously very complicated creatures. Look at any mammal. They're complicated creatures. Isopods are very complicated creatures. Tardigrades are very complicated creatures. You ever seen a bird? Outrageously complicated creatures. We exist in a very, very complexly interwoven and extremely long-standingly diverse ecosystem of organisms. There don't really exist any organisms within that network, that ecology, which are not complicated, not strange, bizarre, fascinating, beautiful, what have you. And so I find it troubling, yeah, but more specifically, just not interesting, which is its own form of troubling, that when I go through my phone and I see so many little moments of like discourse about things within this crazy network of experiments that are unfolding on the surface of the planet Earth, and anybody talks about anything in a way that is because why? What? What do I mean? What do I mean by, let's go one at a time. What do I mean by reductive? What does reductive mean, and why is it a bad word when Augie says it? Because no, here's a better question. Here's a less judgmental question to the idea of being reductive. I saw a video by a Instagram person by the name of Liz the Developer, where they said the opposite of judgment is not permissiveness, because permissiveness has the prerequisite requirement of judgment. You have to be judgmental of something to choose to be permissive of it. What is the opposite of judgment? It's curiosity, because think about it for a second. So, if I'm curious about reductive, if I take my judgment of the word, I do hold some judgment of the word, but if I suspend that, if I say, pause that for a second, it knows I will listen to it later. So it steps away for a second. Now there's no judgment here for the sake of an experiment. If I say, okay, reductive, what is the benefit of you? Like what are you good at? What is your gift? What can you help with? What is reductive useful for? If I allow it to make a case for itself. First, we need to understand what is the appeal of reductive. Why is it so tempting to people all the time? All the time. Me. All the time. And my brain looks like this. Why do I still do it? Because we are existing in a very convincing, but in my view, multi-part unstable facade that sustains the idea of scarcity in a lot of places where it is not useful. One of those things, if you're like my age, if you're like 20, I'm 26, if you're in your 20s, if you're younger than in your 20s, if you're in any part of your life where you do not feel like, if you don't feel like you're a master of everything, if you feel like you've got stuff to learn at all, it is tempting to be reductive while you are learning about it. And that's where I think reductive makes the best case for itself in a lot of cases, is by saying you can learn extra. You can learn extra quicker by reducing a concept to fit it somewhere. If you talk to me, you will learn over time that I really think nature and technology resemble each other a lot more than they do not. And I'd be hard-pressed to say that in many, many cases, they're not just fundamentally kind of the same thing to me. It's like an algebraic conversion type of thing. Like you can, if you can find an equation that allows you to convert them interchangeably, you can use one to understand the other. And you can use both to understand yourself more. And that's true. That's true in some helpful ways. There are some areas where being reductive is, where I can see the use in it. Okay. So now that we've cultivated some understanding or some at least some of a sympathetic viewpoint to that first word, to reductive. Just so you know, I'm not coming at that phrase from a place of like hate or intent to misunderstand. I wanted to just cultivate a little bit of like identifying with that word, at least for the sake of the hypothetical, so that we can get to the second thing here, which is why is reductive partnered with the word silly? This "and" kind of reads a little bit like a nod, like some kind of like it's almost implied. So why is reductive almost equal to silly, in my view? Well, because they're actually both really useful for working with kids. If you work with kids, I was playing the OP1 at a cafe a couple days ago, and this kid that could have been more than 4 or 5 wanted to play with it. He was just curious about it. And so I found myself reducing a lot of the concepts of how you use an OP1 field for this kid to understand. And he had a blast. Because I wouldn't tell him about the whole thing. I wouldn't tell him how the OS works. I would be like, hold this key and turn blue up and down. Up and down. Do it like waves. And he was like having a blast. Because the whole concept is not what he needed there. But it's not a complete understanding that he's attempting to derive from that thing now. And he's not going to his next location as a 5-year-old and speaking on that with authority or something. Like people on the internet love to do about things that they have really reductive views of. And the reason I wanted to get a little bit of loving outlook cultivated around the word reductive before I dive into why I think it's silly is because I think if you're going to argue against something, you should have a real good case of understanding of why someone would argue against you. You should be able to rephrase your argumentative opponent's words or their point, rather, in words that sound to them like, why didn't I think of it that way? That's so crystal clear. That's exactly what I think. And if you can't do that, you're not in a very good place to argue against the thing in general. Because while you may or may not be right, maybe you are, what you're not going to do is be able to reach anybody or vet very accurately what the impact of your argument is on the people who are affected by it. This is the case with everything. This is the case with all sorts of stuff. All of the complexities within life. This is a recurring challenge. Because if you get so caught up in a reductive view that you view it as something other than an on-ramp to further understanding, and you say, no, this reductive view, this is the thing, then let alone rob yourself of a lot of understanding, you're very likely robbing other people of understanding by reducing their curiosity when you speak authoritatively on it. And in that way, I view it as hubris. And hubris is silly. Because it does not help when we're trying to get things really actually done. I guess we'll dive into hubris on the next one. Or something else. I don't know what I'm going to talk about on each one, but I'm having a fun time talking about stuff for once. So thank you for being here. Reconnecting everything. I'm August. This is my body. This is my face. This is my hair. This is a little piece of rosemary that's different from the one that I had when I started the video, because that one closed up. So I put it outside in the rain. I know I picked it already, so it's not like it's going to get better. But this is like a new peppy one, because we got a lot of rosemary here. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.